What is going on, everybody? I am back today to talk about a new release movie that is actually coming out this weekend, but I got to see the early advance screener that they did on Tuesday night, and I've been very excited to watch this movie from the initial trailer. One, it stars Ryan Gosling, who I've loved Ryan Gosling his whole career. I think he always picks really interesting projects to be a part of, and he's always really great whenever he's in comedy. I feel like he's very charming and charismatic, and he always does a really fantastic job, especially with Barbie recently. It's just fun to see him doing these comedic roles, and obviously this film is blending comedy and action. And I also really like Emily Blunt. I think she's an incredibly talented actress, and this whole premise of like the stuntman getting caught up in this action adventure scenario was really interesting to me, and I'm very excited to tell you about The Fall Guy today. Fall Guy is directed by David Leitch. Fresh off an almost career-ending accident, stuntman Cole Seavers has to track down a missing movie star, solve a conspiracy, and try to win back the love of his life while still doing his day job. So, as I said, I was really excited to check this out from the trailer, and I was hoping that I would have a good time. And I did have a really good time. This movie is incredibly entertaining, it's charming, it's a lot of fun, and sure, it has its fair share of flaws. It's not like it's reinventing the wheel by any means. But what I really like about this movie is it's clearly a love letter to stunt performers and just people who make movies in general. And I really liked that a lot about the film, and I'm excited to tell you a little bit about it today. So at the beginning of the film, we're introduced to Colt Seavers, played by Ryan Gosling, who gives us a monologue telling us about being a stuntman, and he's about ready to perform this really intense stunt for Tom Ryder, played by Aaron Taylor Johnson, who is one of the biggest actors. He's been working with him for 5 or 6 years as his stunt double, and he's getting ready, and he's having this conversation with Jody Moreno, played by Emily Blunt, and the two of them clearly have a lot of chemistry. They're into each other. They're having this really charming dialogue before Colt takes on this stunt, and he performs the stunt. Something happens and he gets severely injured, and we see him after the accident. Some time has passed, and he's working as a valet, and he's working on his back. He's really messed himself up, and he's not really interested in getting back into the stunt world. And from what we know, he hasn't spoken to Jody in a very long time. But he gets a call from Gail, played by Hannah Waddingham, who was fantastic in Ted Lasso, but she plays a movie producer who has worked with Colt for a very long time. And she says, hey, Jody is making a movie and she wants you to be the stunt performer in the movie. And he immediately drops everything he's doing to go be a part of the movie. He gets there and he gets on set, and Jody didn't realize he was coming. So that creates a little bit of romantic tension. Well, at the same time, Tom, who is the lead actor, has disappeared, and no one on set knows that he has disappeared. They just think he's pulling diva antics and not showing up to set. And Gail asks Colt if he will go track him down. So the entire film is Colt's character trying to find the lead actor of the film while also trying to rekindle his relationship with Jody. So as I said, I thought this movie was incredibly entertaining. For starters, Ryan Gosling is fantastic in this film. I really couldn't see anyone else playing that role in a way that would make the movie as successful as it is. He's just really great with his comedic timing. There's a lot of bodily comedy in this movie associated with him being a stuntman. He just really eats up the screen time, and I've always thought that about him as a performer. There's just something about him where he commands the screen, and he just knows exactly the way to deliver dialogue and the exact way to just kind of live and breathe a character. And he really does live and breathe this character in a way that feels really authentic. I loved Emily Blunt's performance in this. She just has really great chemistry, and her timing with Ryan Gosling is really great. The way they play off one another in conversational dialogue, it's just really naturalistic, and it works really well for the movie. The rest of the cast is fantastic. I thought Hannah Waddingham was really great. Aaron Taylor Johnson does a phenomenal job. There's a lot of actors that show up in this that all do exactly what they're supposed to make the film a really charming and engaging time. It was really cool. There was a message before the film from David Leitch, who talks about how he was a stunt performer. Making this film was just being a love letter to stunt performers that don't often get a lot of recognition. And you can really feel that in the film, not just from stunt performers, but from all the people who work behind the scenes on the movie. And obviously there's a lot of shots at like actors and producers and some of the people who don't necessarily pay those positions enough attention or treat them in the way that they're supposed to be treated. And I think that there's a lot going on here showing general audiences what it's like to be behind the scenes on a movie set. And I really appreciate that a lot. I thought that it was really cool and it was very authentic. You'd get scenes shown through the lens of like post editing and the way that it would look after it's done, but then cut back into reality at what it's looking like during the filming process. And I think that's cool for people who don't always understand the behind the scenes elements of filmmaking. And as someone who went to film school and who loves movie making, that was really cool to see. The action sequences and set pieces in this movie are phenomenal. Just the attention to detail in it, the way that they're framed, the pacing of the scenes. It's suspenseful and it's fun and it's entertaining. And the director, being a stunt person, knew exactly how to choreograph these scenes in a way that's going to keep the audience engaged. And I never felt like there was really a dull moment whenever there was an action sequence occurring. As far as the structure of the film, some of my problems with the movie, it takes a little bit of time to get going. I felt like it was kind of rough around the edges at the beginning of the movie, and it kind of took a little while to settle in, but once it finally settled in with the characters, it became a really easy watch. It's relatively formulaic. When you're watching the movie, you can kind of guess where it's going to go, and some of the twists and turns that were introduced, it wasn't like I was really taken by surprise by any of them, but I do think that because of how entertaining the characters are and how easy it is to be invested in the story, that even though there's some cliches that the film falls into, you're so entertained by the performances and what's going on screen that it's easy to forgive. In the hands of a different director, in the hands of different actors, it might not be as excusable, but because of how entertaining the entirety of the film is, I was able to kind of overlook that. And there are some like happenstance moments, and there's some things that are like, okay, I guess I can suspend my disbelief to get from point A to point B. But it's really just a fun, charming movie that is a love letter to stunt performers and filmmaking. And that's something that I can really get behind. I love movies that do those types of things. I love movies that kind of look at filmmaking through a very realistic lens. Obviously, this is a goofy, over-the-top romantic comedy, and there's a lot of nods to different movies. The soundtrack in moments can get a little corny, but I appreciated other moments. There's like one specific scene with Ryan Gosling singing a song in particular that was kind of cheesy, but it added a level of humor to the movie that I can appreciate. And a lot of the needle drop soundtrack choices, some of them get a little bit repetitive, but you could tell they were just having a fun time making the movie. And I saw this on the Dolby screen at my local AMC, and the sound in this movie is really great. The visuals are fantastic, especially in the action sequences. And if you're just looking for a fun, entertaining romantic comedy that has really great performances, that isn't necessarily inventing the wheel, The Fall Guy is definitely worth checking out. So have you seen The Fall Guy? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Leave me a comment down below and let me know what you thought. I thought this movie was very entertaining. I had a really great time with it, and despite its flaws, I think it's still very much worth a watch. As always, if you can like the video and subscribe to the channel, helps me out a lot and lets me know the type of content you're looking for. I'm always putting out new material and look forward to getting more out for you in the near future. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching and have a great rest of your day.